First Take, we had some breaking news this morning from Adam Schefter. The Ravens wasting no time. They scooped up defensive end Trey Hendrickson in the wake of the Maxx Crosby deal falling apart yesterday. The Ravens have agreed to a 4-year deal worth $112 million plus incentives. That means Hendrickson stays in the AFC North. He'll face Joe Burrow and the Bengals now twice a season. Here is Adam Schefter earlier on Get Up with more on this trade.
It's a deal worth up to $30 million a year, and as we mentioned in the first hour, Greeny, the Baltimore Ravens initially were talking to Trey Hendrickson about playing with Maxx Crosby. So they were talking to him all along. Now Maxx Crosby gets taken out of the equation, and Trey Hendrickson reaches an agreement on a 4-year deal with the Ravens that will keep him in Baltimore, and he will now stay in the AFC North. He had been looking for guaranteed money. He had been looking for stability. He had been looking for a long-term deal. Baltimore gives him those particular long-term deals, and that's a situation where he felt like this was his spot. By the way, he's calling right now, so we could talk to him. Hold on one second. Talk to those guys. Yes, sir, we're on Get Up right now.
Only Shefty. Okay, so he had a conversation with Trey Hendrickson, but now we know that he is indeed heading to the Ravens in this free agent acquisition. Peter Schrager joins us now here on First Take. How do the Ravens look now after all of this, I'm going to call it mess, that's happened in the last 24 hours?
Michigas, right? That's the word. This obviously on the surface looks bad for the Ravens, that they committed to a trade, they waited all this time, and at the last witching hour pulled the rug under, then signed another player. If you look at it that way, in a vacuum, you say, well, that seems a little shady. Ravens had 4 different doctors weigh in on their physical with Maxx Crosby, and there was never actual trade papers exchanged. There were terms of a trade that were discussed, and it was all pending this physical. They did the physical yesterday. They looked under the hood, and they didn't like what they saw. It's a shame. The Ravens wanted Maxx Crosby, and to Adam Schefter's point, their plan was Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. They would have had both of those guys, and that would have been what they were throwing at AFC North offenses. Unfortunately, their doctors gave them their counsel that they didn't feel comfortable with what they saw with Crosby's knee long-term. Now, Crosby's doctor is Dr. Neil Elitrosh, one of the top surgeons in the world. He's done Tom Brady. He's done Matthew Stafford. He says he's right on target, and he's fine. 32 teams, 32 doctors. Each one has their opinion. The Ravens doctors.
Hold on.
Okay, go on. Let's hear.
Hold on. You know what? I'm almost sick of this subject from this standpoint. Damn it, they wanted out of the deal. They had the right to get out of the deal because it was pending a physical and that hadn't taken place yet. No problem. Let me ask you this, Peter. Let me ask you guys this. What are the Ravens better off with? Trey Hendrickson without giving up the 2 first-round picks, or giving up the 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby? What's the better deal for the Baltimore Ravens?
That is a subjective question, and it is one where I would say if Maxx Crosby's knee checked out, I think they wanted to have Maxx Crosby on the roster. They didn't feel comfortable with what they got, but go on.
Okay, I'm going to try this again because Dan Orlovsky chimed in, Mr. Elvis himself, and you're missing it. I'm going to try this again. Maxx Crosby, I know Maxx Crosby is considered better than Trey Hendrickson. What I'm asking is, sacrificing 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby, is that a better deal for the Baltimore Ravens than being able to keep your picks and acquiring Trey Hendrickson?
I would tell you my honest football answer is, on the surface, keeping the 2 first-round picks and having Trey Hendrickson is better. Obviously, we have no idea what those first-round picks will become once they are drafted. They could be dud players, and so then in the foreshadowing or in the future, you would sit there and say, oh, man, rip Maxx Crosby. I would tell you this, Trey Hendrickson's a very good player, and should be, and you know what, Trey Hendrickson, I don't want to get lost in this, God bless him. He held out, he waited.
He got like we were waiting on LeBron. All right, he's on a team already.
But he got his money finally. He earned the money. Cincinnati kind of drugged their feet. So, let's give Trey credit for that. Max is different, man. Everything that people said about Micah Parsons last year, say it about Maxx Crosby. He's different. He destroys football games. And so I understand your point, Stephen A. I do. But I'm going to take Peter's word for that in regards to, and I think Peter's point of this, I found interesting. When you tell me 4 different doctors weighed in on it, that makes me think a little bit like differently. Because on the surface, it's like, man, Baltimore, like, did you know that you can get...
And hey, look, Baltimore has a history here. Michael Brockers signed with them, and then they failed him on his physical. He would have a nice NFL career afterwards. Ryan Grant was a wide receiver. He was in a trade. He failed the physical and had a nice little career afterwards. Baltimore has a history of this with their failing the physical and maybe more than any other team, which is why you're seeing reports of some GMs and agents are rolling their eyes or even saying that they don't believe what is going on here. I would like to think Baltimore wouldn't have agreed to this trade for Maxx Crosby and gotten their fans all excited about Maxx Crosby just to pull the rug to save a few bucks and say we.
It looks odd. It doesn't mean it's malicious. It doesn't mean it's lacking
More than
integrity.
a few bucks.
Quite a bit of bucks.
Go ahead. You want to get in, Doggy?
Well, the thing I would say is they knew
Doug.
they were getting an injured player when they made the trade. And if they have a history of being very meticulous about clearing folks with physicals, why'd they go talk to Crosby to begin with? He's coming off a bad meniscus tear, as you said this morning. He had January surgery. What made him think that he was going to clear so quickly anyway? Why didn't he just go after Hendrickson, keep the picks, give him $112 million? I know Hendrickson did nothing last year for Cincinnati. He got hurt. He did absolutely nothing on one of the worst defenses
But he got
in the league.
hurt is the key word
Well,
there.
but that's what I mean. When you get that, you got a part of greatness is getting out in the field. Whether you get hurt or not, that's part of the greatness angle. He did not play.
If Trey Hendrickson's not available, if he's not on the market, if the Colts had signed Trey Hendrickson yesterday afternoon, or the
Would this trade
Eagles,
have gone through? Would this trade have gone through?
I don't know.
If there wasn't a plan B, because it feels like there was a plan B. Can I ask this from a Maxx Crosby perspective now? Because I love Maxx Crosby. You know, I was beating the drum for the Bears to get him. But he did go on a podcast and talk about this. Was in Baltimore, posting pictures, saying all kinds of things, took to social media. Were we maybe putting the cart in front of the horse a little bit here? Before he had a clear physical, like it's almost like he didn't quite sign on the dotted line yet.
All fair, Shay. It's all fair. And this is where we as reporters can report the news, but there was never trade papers exchanged. And until 4 o'clock today, that deal was still going to be inconclusive until the Ravens did the physical on Crosby.
But why would the Ravens even
In other
talk to the
words-
Raiders when they have a history of being very difficult with physicals? Why did they just sign Hendrickson to begin with and not worry about the 2 first-round picks?
Because Maxx Crosby is the second best pass rusher in the NFL. And he makes them Super Bowl contenders. I don't know if Trey Hendrickson makes them Super Bowl contender.
The 14th pick, it's a trade for the 14th pick, too. You're keeping the 14th pick.
True.
So it's Hendrickson and the 14th pick up against Crosby.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You said this?
The bottom line.
Go ahead, Stephen A.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Dr. Elatrosh says that Max is right on
Right on
target.
schedule, yep.
Should teams value that? Should
Yes.
other teams take that into consideration? Baltimore's allowed to do what they want, but if you're the Dallas Cowboys, if you're the Bills, if you're the Rams, if you're the Eagles, do
Who's
teams
this doctor?
share that information?
Yes. And
Who's this doctor?
Elatrosh's word
It
is
depends
bond.
on who the
However,
doctor is.
He's the doctor who did the surgery. So they could also say, well, we want an outside
He
opinion.
did the surgery on Max.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Go ahead, Stephen A.
Yeah, but to me, and far be it for me to go to cinematic history and all of that other stuff. But I remember that scene in A Few Good Men when Tom Cruise was interrogating the doctor, with the guy, about the guy that examined the guy that ultimately got killed because Jack Nicholson ordered the code red, and he was sitting up there and he was saying, of course you would say that because God forbid if you misdiagnosed and you got caught and stuff, that kind of stuff. So what I'm paraphrasing, I'm simply saying that a doctor is going to sit up there and say he's perfectly on course. He should be just fine, I mean, is the doctor going to tell you, listen, I don't know how well I did the surgery. I can't tell you how soon he's going to be well. No, I don't think that you're going to hear that from a doctor. So the physician in question, I'm not questioning the physician at all, specifically. I'm simply saying it does give you a cause to pause in terms of who to trust. As an aside, I do want to veer left and ask Dan this question. Dan Orlovsky, we got to go to break. What are you doing here? Are you supposed to be on vacation? The reason I'm asking this question, Dan Orlovsky, because even though I love you, my brother, and you're on the show, You had us sit there and did everything but give you a hug and throw a swan song party for you when the Super Bowl was over. You know what I'm saying? Like we wasn't going to see you again. This is the second time I'm seeing you this week, my brother. I'm not mad about it, but I want to know, what are you doing here? You missed me?
One, the Super Bowl was a month ago. Usually after the Super Bowl, I take the rest of the month off, which I did. Then I work the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of free agency week. Then I'll go away for another week or two. I'll pick up again at the draft, and then after that, you won't see me for a couple months. So I'm just doing my normal routine.
So in other words, you were never really going to be gone. You just acted like you were going to be gone, so we could celebrate you while you were departing, even though you were never really going away. That's what you're saying.
No, what happens is
you weren't going away.
I'm on every day during the season, and so when I go from 0 to 100 or 100 to 0, I like to take 30 seconds to say, thank you for allowing me to be a part of the show. That's it.
He was complimenting you. See? That's all.
That's it. It's called being grateful.
That's right.
It was gratitude.
It was very nice.
That's it.
Okay,
Is that what it's called? I got to work on that, Dan. I got to work on that.
He's going to work on that from South Beach.
Guess what? The sun rose today.